investors, because they may not be familiar with the terrain of our investment climate in the country, are taken advantage of by people. Therefore, it will be clear to any foreign direct investor who's coming to invest in the country that they have people who are authorized by the Kenya Investment Authority to be able to do this work to facilitate them. Honorable Speaker, in mainstreaming remote work and business process outsourcing, the amendments that touch on the Employment Act, maybe I should have mentioned that this is almost an omnibus bill that has amendments, as I said, to the Kenya Investment Authority, Kenya Investment Promotion Act. It has amendments that touch on the Employment Act. It has amendments that are touching on affordable housing and land, as I mentioned, amendment to the Anti-Counterfeit Authority. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, in mainstreaming remote work and business process outsourcing, if you members look at clause 10, it redefines employee and employer under the Employment Act to fully recognize remote workers, specifically those operating under BPOs and IT-enabled arrangements. Because, Honorable Speaker, you know, the old Employment Act, or the old times, Honorable Speaker, employment had to be physical employment where you have a letter of appointment, you have a contract, you have a physical address where you are working from. But in today's world, Honorable Speaker, with business process outsourcing and the remote work environment, you do not necessarily now need to have an appointment letter from anybody, or a contract, or even a physical address where you work from. You can actually work remotely, and with COVID in 2020, Honorable Speaker, a lot of our workforce moved to remote work, and many other Kenyans now are working under business process outsourcing. And therefore, we must be in a position where we facilitate all these new areas of employment to ensure that our young people in the country are able to access employment, those that can work remotely. And I say this, Honorable Speaker, from experience. I have a young man in my family who for the last 4 years has been working remotely. And I visited him the other month in his apartment on Riara Road. And he has actually converted one of the bedrooms into a fully fledged office. And when I visited him at about lunchtime, hoping to find lunch, I found him asleep. And he told me he had slept that morning at 7 a.m. because he works at night. And that is the innovation, Honorable Speaker, that our young people in this country are taking advantage of, the innovative ways of getting employed across the globe. Somebody is working for a company in the US remotely because of the time difference. They are working at night. And therefore, we must create laws that now recognize them as employees who are employed under the Employment Act, and also facilitate those who are in the business of business process outsourcing to be able to hire a workforce from this country without being hindered by the archaic laws that we had under the Employment Act. Honorable Speaker, again, Clause 12 amends the Occupational Safety and Health Act to ensure that legally defined workplaces explicitly cover remote locations. As I said, people now can work from their homes, people can work from other remote locations. You are working for a company in the West, but you are working from your house in Daragwa constituency in Nyandarua. And that speaks also, Honorable Speaker, to the need to enhance our investment in the national superhighway on fiber connectivity so that we ensure that every corner of our republic, Honorable Speaker, people are able to work remotely. Anti-Counterfeit Authority to declare what is counterfeit and what is not counterfeit. Honorable Speaker, you know, it caused immense pain, especially to many traders in Nyamakema orders, and whatever is being disposed must be governed by environmental standards, so that even things that may be detrimental, like battery cells, that must be disposed in a certain way, then you make sure that they are disposed in that manner that is environmentally safe and following court orders. Clause 23 drastically escalates the anti-counterfeit penalties, making offenders liable to fines of up to 2 million shillings and 3 years imprisonment or both, to ensure that nobody deliberately brings in counterfeits that are detrimental to the health or the safety of the citizens of Kenya. And should you contravene, Honorable Speaker, you'll be liable either to a fine of up to 2 million shillings or 3 years imprisonment or both. Honorable Speaker, if I touch on, I've spoken a bit on the clauses attached on affordable housing and land timelines, and clause 13 amends the Affordable Housing Act by integrating crucial new definitions into the Act, legally protecting structures like Sharia-compliant financing administration fees. Clause 14 significantly accelerates land transaction timelines under the affordable housing by reducing a chargee's statutory notification period from 90 days to only 45 days. You now don't need 90 days, you only need 45 days to be able to charge your affordable housing units. Clause 15 establishes that a chargee must respect a tight 20-day timeline before exercising the power of sale of property under an affordable housing scheme, so that you must have a statutory timeline of at least 20 days before you exercise the power of sale. If a chargee or a financial institution that has advanced money to a citizen to buy an affordable housing unit, you must adhere to this very strict timelines, so that again, because these affordable housing units are being sold to people who would otherwise not have been able to ever own a house. Should maybe someone lose their source of income, maybe you lose your job, financial institutions will not be in a rush to auction your property and you lose your property. We therefore want to protect citizens to make sure that they are not auctioned at will by our banks and other financial institutions that we have opened up, including the microfinance institutions, which under the Central Bank Amendment Bill, we have opened them up to also be able to finance many of these affordable housing units. Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, this bill contains very vital provisions that cut across county governments, regulate critical business operations, and act as a necessary money bill to bolster national growth. Honorable Speaker, as I had mentioned, many of those amendments also touch on inter-county, intra-county business flow and trade of flow of trade. And Honorable Speaker, as I said, the Committee of Finance and National Planning considered this bill. The Trade Committee, under the able leadership of the member for Aldai and the Honorable Shinali, also considered this business laws, and they have made sure that we remove many of the barriers of trade that are there between our counties, so that we have efficient flow of trade in our counties and in our country, even as we seek to encourage our foreign direct investment investors, or those who seek to invest in our country using foreign direct investments. Honorable Speaker, I now want to beg you that you allow me to move this bill to allow other members to contribute, and I would like to request the Honorable Vice Chair of the Trade Committee, the Honorable Member for Aldai, Miriam Keitany, to second this bill.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Allow me to second the Business Laws Amendment Bill, Senate Bill number 51 of 2024. And as I second, Honorable Speaker, we need to appreciate that the business environment in this country has to be improved. I know it is good, but we have to improve it more. And in that process, we are looking at investments that come into this country and those that are currently running within this country, starting with the businesses that are within this country.